Welcome to Change Talks. Why Blacks are crucified in America. Before we begin, let's demystify an entity called America. For me, I call it a continent of migrants. It's a human instinct to know where you come from, what preceded you, how did they get here, who were there before them. The fact that we don't know for sure makes it quite fascinating. 500 years before Columbus, a daring band of Vikings led by Leif Erikson set foot in North America and established a settlement. And long before that, some scholars say the Americas seem to have been visited by seafaring travelers from Africa and by visitors from China and even Ice Age Europe. The book, They Came Before Columbus by Ivan van Sertima, brilliantly demonstrates that there is far more to Black history in America than the slave trade. It reveals compellingly a superbly detailed documentation of the presence and legacy of Africans in ancient America, examining navigation and shipbuilding, cultural analogies between Native Americans and Africans, the transportation of plants, animals, and textiles between the continents, and the diaries, journals, and oral accounts of the explorers themselves. Ivan van Sertima builds a pyramid of evidence to support this claim of an African presence in the New World centuries before Columbus. The book recreates some of the most powerful scenes of history: the launching of the great ships of Mali in 1810, 200 master boats and 200 supply boats, the sea expedition of the Mandingo King in 1811, and many others. The book, They Came Before Columbus, allows us to see clearly the unmistakable face and handprints of Black Africans in pre-Columbian America and their overwhelming impact on the civilization they encountered. Before Africans' imprint on American soil, popular legend suggests an additional event. According to an ancient manuscript, a band of Irish monks led by St. Brendan sailed an ox-hide boat westward in the 6th century in search of new lands. After 7 years, they returned home and reported that they had discovered a land covered with luxuriant vegetation, believed by some today to have been the newfound land. As we dig deeper and deeper into the past, we find that the Americas have always been lands of immigrants, lands that have been discovered time again by different people coming from different parts of the world over the course of countless generations. Going far back to prehistoric past, when a band of Stone Age hunters first set foot in what truly was an unexplored new world. In fact, the entirety of North and South America are a polyglot of cultures stretching back before recorded history. And people have been coming here ever since, chasing a better life, abundant food, water, and opportunity. We should know that a large population of America today are migrants, as the true indigenous Americans are almost going extinct. We should also know that America has two types of migrants, either migrant by expedition vis-a-vis colonization, or migrant by slavery. Whether one migrated following the expedition of Columbus and others before him like Leif Erikson, the Viking, or you came as a bunch of slaves shipped in to cultivate the plantation, today known as Black Americans, we should understand that there is no need for any type of migrant to praise or assume superiority over the other. This brings us to the question, why African Americans are lynched up till today. The term lynching refers to a form of violence in which a mob, under the pretext of administering justice without trial, executes a presumed offender, often after inflicting torture and corporal mutilation. Lynch is derived from the word Charles Lynch, a Virginia planter, during the American Revolution, headed an irregular court formed to punish people. Statistics of reported lynching in the United States indicate that between 1882 to 1951, 4,730 people were lynched, of whom 1,293 were white and 3,437 were blacks. Lynching continued to be associated with U.S. racial unrest during the 50s and 60s, when civil rights workers and advocates were threatened and in some cases killed by mobs. The lynching of Eric Garner in 2014 on the streets of New York, and of recent George Floyd on the streets of Minneapolis, has triggered a global outburst and protest amid a dreaded pandemic. Although it signifies one of those terrors blacks face every day in America and other racist parts of the world, it makes me ask the question, why are blacks crucified more than any other race in the world? To answer this, I think it is not just about the color of our skin or the inactivated potential beneath the face of a black person. I think Africa is the reason why blacks are crucified. Africa, with its enormous possibilities, has refused to take up our place in the world. We love to play the slave role, a dumb sight, those largely dependent on aid. The truth is, Africa has to step up her game and become a major player in the world's economy, else blacks will never be respected anywhere. Although there are segregation of those of other races, but they can't be compared to how Africans are treated. Case in point, if you lynch a British American, Britain will rise. If you lynch a Chinese American, China will question through trade boycotts. But if you crucify an African American, Africa is silent and powerless. All over the world, Africa is the only continent with a skin that is black. We are unique. Let's celebrate ourselves and defend our dignity by looking inwards, developing our greatness, and becoming a voice among the leagues of nations. America should understand that God did not make any mistake to allow blacks to be taken as slaves, so that in the fullness of time, blacks can intermarry and raise kids with a blended gene. Killing of Eric Garner, George Floyd, and the rest insult the wisdom of God. And if America is a country that trusts in God, they should refrain from persecuting blacks. On this premise, I make a clarion call not just to Americans and the world, but especially to African leaders to step up their game in developing the continent so that Africa can be a noble beneath its banners. And the dreams of our founding fathers will come true. Africa is destined to be great, a continent marked to lead. Wake up, Africa.